What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming. I'm a fight guy, a Forbes contributor, also writing for Heavy.com. We're talking UFC Fight Night 171 Wednesday night, Jacksonville, Florida, at the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. I almost said Coliseum. It's the first time. I've been on the verge of saying that several times, but I almost finally got me in the co-main event, which is Ben Rothwell taking on Ovince St. Preux. Ovince St. Preux making his heavyweight debut. This one could be pretty interesting. He's fought almost his entire career at 205 pounds, but he's going to be clashing with Rothwell, who is one of the bigger, just wide, massive heavyweights out there. Looking at the bet online odds here, minus 135 favorite for OSP, which I think is pretty interesting for a guy making his heavyweight debut against a veteran like Ben Rothwell, who's been around for a long time. Ben Rothwell is at plus 115 as the underdog. Talking about striking, Rothwell isn't like the most aesthetically pleasing striker, but he does have some serious power. You can't take it for granted or dismiss it as if he can't crack. But that said, he cannot match the explosiveness that I think that OSP can bring, especially if he maintains that same level of athleticism that we saw him have at light heavyweight. He is a little older now, but OSP can still move around pretty good, and he still gets from point A to point B with those strikes, whether it's kicks, knees, or punches, pretty fast. So I think he gets the advantage in striking. Looking at grappling and submissions, I think OSP has become so adept at putting opponents to sleep with the Von Flu choke. People are now, Dan Hardy, I think, kind of started this, saying we should really be calling this the Von Preux choke. I mean, OSP is just a killer at this particular submission. But as good as he is at using that really rare submission, I can't say that I give him the overall advantage in grappling and submissions over Rothwell, because Rothwell has only been submitted twice in his career. And the last time that he lost that weight was 7 years ago against Gabriel Gonzaga. His only other submission loss was really early in his career, so I don't even really think it matters anymore, because he's a far different guy, far different fighter than he was at that point. Now, meanwhile, he has 6 submission victories, and OSP does have 8. But unlike Rothwell, OSP has been submitted recently. As a matter of fact, the submission loss still seems to be the problem for OSP more than anything, and it's especially showing some susceptibility to chokes. So in April of 2019, he was submitted via rear naked choke by Nikita Krylov, and he also lost by a standing guillotine to Illa Latifi in February of 2018. So because of those factors, I really kind of think that Rothwell is probably going to have a little bit of an advantage in the grappling. He's so big, so strong. I don't know how well OSP will be able to control him. I certainly don't know if I can see him taking Rothwell down. I like Rothwell from a grappling standpoint. When we talk about intangibles, Rothwell is big, he's nasty, he's an intimidating guy overall. He's comfortable at home fighting as a heavyweight. OSP may still have some reservations about how well he can compete in the division, and how well he can really stand up to taking live shots. I'm not talking about sparring. I'm talking about live shots in the octagon against somebody like Rothwell. So because of that lack of familiarity, I kind of lean towards Rothwell from an intangible standpoint, because I got to think he comes in a little bit more confident. Now, if you look at what's been happening lately, if you look at what Rothwell's situation, he has that last win. I don't know. I just don't think that's a victory that even sat well with him overall. He came out on the top, and he really needed to get the victory against Stefan Struve back in December. But that was the fight where Dan Miragliotta, Stefan Struve took 2 low blows. Dan Miragliotta tells Stefan Struve, "Hey man, you're pretty much winning the fight. All you got to do is just kind of get through it or whatever. You'll be okay." And you're not, as a referee, is never supposed to be giving advice or giving what he thinks is on the scorecard. So totally out of line on that one. And I think it affected Stefan Struve, and ultimately ends up getting stopped in the second round. He could have pretty much just said he couldn't continue from taking a low blow, but he elected to keep going. That win for Rothwell snapped a street fight losing streak, and it might have very well saved him from getting released because he would have been on a 4-fight losing streak after having lost to Junior Dos Santos, Lagoy Ivanov, and Andrei Arlovsky. So he had 3 straight losses, not good losses at all, and then he gets that one. So now stepping up fighting Ovince St. Preux, who is moving up from like heavyweight, who's coming off of a victory, which was from the Von Flue choke over Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I hope I said his name correctly. I always kind of struggle with it. It's a long one, but he did get a victory in his last fight over him. So we'll see what that does when they actually clash in the octagon. So my overall prediction, this is a tough one to call. It really is. As long as the action stays standing, I think OSP is going to have the advantage in speeds and overall explosiveness. However, during these grappling sequences, I think that Rothwell then would be in it, would have the edge. So the question then becomes, can OSP hit and hurt Rothwell enough to stop him? And my answer is no. I think Rothwell is so sturdy, very tough to stop with strikes. He hasn't been stopped by strikes in 11 years. And the last person that did that was Cain Velasquez. So that's pretty significant. Rothwell, I think, is just an overall tough guy. He's hard to hit squarely. And I see him imposing his size and his will en route to a TKO or a submission win in the second round. I don't know. I love OSP. I've always liked him as a fighter. But I don't know that he's going to be able to take advantage of what would generally be what is a speed and quickness edge here against such a big physical guy like Rothwell. I think Rothwell might be able to absorb a shot or so coming in and maybe deflecting it enough just to be able to initiate a grappling sequence. And I just don't like OSP's submission defense as much as he'll probably need it against a guy like Rothwell. So I got Rothwell winning this fight. So this is another underdog. I think I got 3 underdog picks on this card. So you might want to check them out. We'll see what happens. Last card, UFC 249, in case you're wondering, I was 7-4 with predictions. So decent percentage. So if you want to see the other ones, make sure you go in the upper right corner of the screen and you can see all of the picks from this card. As usual, don't forget to subscribe and like this video and click that notifications bell. God bless and peace.